Juliet, Whiskey, Whiskey.
Whiskey, Whiskey, this is Brock Phoenix. Winds in Brockville right now at 040 degrees at 5 knots, favoring runway 04 with negative reported traffic.
Is there a fly in there today?
That's affirmative.
What's the visibility on one of the ceilings?
We haven't had nobody fly in, so it's hard to tell what the visibility is, about a mile and a half.
Okay, I'm currently 19 miles to the north, down to about 1,000 feet indicated. Not sure if I can get there or not.
Okay, I'll turn on some lights anyway and make sure everybody's ready for you just in case. Phoenix Mobile 1, we have a plane going to attempt to come in.
Welcome to Jeff Rowe's Wide World of Sport Aviation.
Here comes the aviator himself. Hey, Jeff Rowe.
A couple months ago, I stood here and said that I was going to be taking a long flight, the longest flight I would have ever made in this airplane. 300 miles out, 300 miles back. Unfortunately, that prediction was made about 1 week ahead of the trip that I was intending to take. And at that time, the weather looked good. I thought everything was going to be great. But unfortunately, the way it is with weather and flying VFR in little airplanes is, if you make a prediction or have a desire to go flying on any particular day and you're going to make a trip, chances of you being actually able to fly VFR that day up here in this country is probably about 40%. Anyway, I made the trip, but we drove. The reason was there were strong winds out of the west. I would have been flying into a 20-mile-an-hour headwind all the way to my destination in an airplane that only goes 100 miles an hour. So looking at 80 miles an hour or less over the ground would have been bumpy conditions. Would not have been a fun flight. On top of that, the whole area between here and Toronto was blanketed in forest fire smoke. Now, it was legal VFR, but flying through and or around the busiest airspace in the country in smog, fire smoke, with gusty, choppy conditions, not my idea of fun. So all the cliches come into place. I'm a fair weather pilot. There are old pilots and bold pilots, but there are no old, bold pilots. A superior pilot is one who uses superior judgment to avoid situations that require the use of superior skill. It's far better to be on the ground wishing you were in the air than up in the air wishing you were on the ground. So I didn't make that flight. But today we are going flying. It's not that flight, not going anywhere particular far, but doing something I haven't done this year at all, and that's go to a fly-in breakfast. So we are headed 50 miles south of here down to the St. Lawrence River to the little town of Brockville. And going to get ourselves some bacon and eggs, hopefully, and a nice flight. Anyway, we'll see what we get today. But for now, I got to prepare the airplane. It's gassed up. I need to do my walk around, check everything, and remove all these things that need to be removed before flight. They keep the birds out. Clean the windshield. Got to call my wife, get her up, get her over here so we can go together. Anyway, see you in the airplane. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn on the cameras for the takeoff. The day started out well, but as you'll see, things got worse.
Yeah, pretty low ceilings here. 1,600 feet, not bad though. this is Foxtrot Julia Whiskey. We're about 14 to the north, but ceilings are getting worse. We're abandoning, headed back to Carp.
Roger, so you're down to below 600 then?
Well, not below 600, but it's getting worse, and it's not worth the risk at the moment.
Okay, no problem. I'll turn off the lights, and thanks for the try.
I wish it had stayed like this. This is good. Right, chill low. Oh yeah, I know. Nice flying down here though. Well, we didn't make it. Not bad here, but beautiful here. But we were down to 500, 600 feet last in the flag, so abandoned the mission and we're headed back home.
As you watch me bring the plane into the circuit and land, if there's one thing I can fault myself for in this video is that I was actually trying to retain as much altitude as I could, but in doing so I was putting myself too close to the cloud base. I should have dropped down right down to 500 feet above ground, and I would have had a better idea of what was coming in front of me sooner than I did. Other thing I like to mention is in Canada, it's mandatory to file a flight plan if you fly more than 25 miles. Our destination was 50 miles away. Therefore, I did file a flight plan. I spoke to a weather specialist, and I knew that it was possible that the weather was going to deteriorate. So I did not go into this without prior knowledge. And when I spoke and filed the flight plan, I told the flight specialist that I would try it. I would give it a try and see. If worst comes to worst, we'll just turn around and come back. So that flight, though it may seem like a bit of a waste of time, we flew about 40 miles. I had to turn around 13 miles short of our destination, and I ended up turning around, coming home, and we drove to a restaurant that's less than 3 miles from here where the airplane's parked, and went and had these substantial breakfasts you can see here. We paid about 1.5 times what we would have paid if we actually made it to the fly-in. But it wasn't a waste of time. I got in an hour's worth of flight time, and another revisit to what it's like to fly down to my comfortable limits. And of course, in the end, I made the right decision and I turned around. It's hard to, I don't know if you can see in the video, but where I turned around, we were at 600 feet, and I could see the cloud deck was dropping below me, and we probably would have been down to 300 or 400 feet above ground level, and that's just too low. One of the things you got to worry about these days is towers. There's so many towers that go up to 500 feet above ground, and they're not all marked. So that's one thing you got to think about. Another thing, I don't believe they'll show up on the video because they just went by like bullets. But because we were flying just below the cloud deck, going south, I saw a bird go by me on the left-hand wing, just a little black dot, like a bullet. And coming home again, we were kind of in the low cloud, and I saw another a small bird go by on the right, like a bullet. I didn't see any others, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were more. So I mean, it is September, almost mid-September. We're getting into the migration time. That's another note to myself that I learned just today. You got to be aware that though there probably weren't any airplanes flying up there, there are things in the air. So we missed them, they missed us. No dents, no broken windshields, ingested birds into the engine or anything, so all's good, and as I say, all's well that ends well. Almost every time you fly, you learn something. So I learned a couple things today. I reestablished what my limit is, and I learned that even though you're clear of the cloud, those little birds are just clear of the clouds too. So you've got some extra projectiles up there that you might want to drop down a little bit more. But I've been home, had time to change my clothes and come back, because I was here yesterday and doing a couple of paint jobs on the plane. And some of the paint was peeling on the door, so I've touched it up, but I really don't like the color. It's not dark enough. So I've added some more black to my blue to try to get it darker. And I'm going to give it another 1 or 2 light coats, see if I can bring the tone dark enough that I like it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish this job. You can let me know in the comments which one of those cliches you think best fits. Better to be on the ground wishing you were in the air than in the air wishing you were on the ground. There are old and there are bold pilots, but there are no old bold pilots. And a superior pilot is one who uses his superior judgment to avoid situations that require the use of superior skill. You can tell me what you think applied to that past flight. Anyway, over and out. Gonna wrap it up. See you some other time. Bye bye.